All right, welcome back to DTR's YouTube channel. As always, I'd like to start off by saying thanks to all the new subscribers for tuning in, as well as all the current subscribers that have been tuning in. If you like what you see here, don't be afraid to share videos with all your friends. Always give the thumbs up, and let's get on with the next video. All right, welcome back. Today we are getting back to work on the 68 Olds 442. We have been doing a little bit of work here and there on the chassis and the engine components and things like that. The job has been kind of on hold for a little while. We've been waiting for some parts. We were waiting for the front disc brake kit for the chassis to get it back on its wheels, and we were waiting for a trunk drop sheet metal panel for the body. That was kind of holding up production in various ways. The disc brake conversion kit we ordered basically when the project started, which was about 6 months ago. The trunk drop wasn't, or was, I should say, was ordered not much longer after that, when I discovered it needed one. And we're just getting the stuff in now, which really has slowed this progress of this project up. But the state of the world we're in right now, with manufacturing and shipping and everything else going on, this is kind of what we got to deal with. But in an hour or so time, front brakes are all done. An hour or so time, trunk drop's done, and now we're moving on to getting the body put back down on the frame to continue moving forward with this project. But before we get into all that, let's take a quick look at the chassis and everything that's been done to it so far. All right, so if you've been following along, you know, we started with, you know, dismantling the chassis, sending that out for sandblasting and powder coating. Some of you that have already tuned in may have seen that step. If you haven't, go back and check those steps out. Meaning, or that's, I should say, all the chassis components, you know, suspension parts, coil springs, everything that went out for sandblasting and powder coating. And again, finding the right place really makes this project a lot more cost effective. We save the customer probably a good bit of money having all these parts blasted and powder coated all in one facility, as opposed to having everything sandblasted and then brought back, and us having to paint and or prime and paint everything, which again, powder coat is going to hold up much better. I should say the customer decided he wanted a posi rear in the rear, so with that we decided we were gonna tear down the rear all the way, and we ended up shipping that out to the powder coater and got that done as well. So everything is really bulletproof as far as chassis wise. Drive shafts powder coated. There's very few parts on this rolling chassis that are painted. The rad support's painted, and some minimal engine brackets and stuff are painted. This is painted as opposed to the pulleys. I'm actually just drawing a blank now, but this, we put the customer wanted an aluminum intake for this engine, and we ran into an issue that the top AC bracket, that the bolt here, the hole for some reason did not line up like at all. So we found another bracket and we welded a slug onto the bracket so that the top bolt would then actually work. We also got the fuel injection, the Holley Sniper system started. It's the distributor, let's say the throttle body unit, the lines that Holley suggests. We got those all roughed in. The tank is also being prepped to go in. This is all part of the Holley Sniper system. Pardon me. As you can see, as you might have seen before, the wheels as well, we had blasted and powder coated. The engine, of course, as I've said in earlier videos, that's all been freshly rebuilt correctly, and broken in on a run stand. The transmission has been rebuilt, and we finished it off real nice. It's looking really good. We got some mock-up exhaust pipes on this thing, just so that when it comes time to moving it, we have some sort of exhaust on it. And we're going to need the exhaust on it to or for the sniper system. You can't just run. We couldn't just run open headers because you have to have a oxygen sensor or what have you on the exhaust. So we just have that for mock-up. But all the hardware and everything is all detailed out real nice. Rear disc brakes as well. Those fortunately got those really fast and went on relatively easy. The kit went on easy, but after we had it all together, the calipers and the wheels didn't cooperate. We had to grind some of the top of the caliper off to get the wheel to clearance. So things that say they're supposed to fit don't always fit. Fortunately, the front disc brakes, that went together really well, really quickly. No clearance issues, and those were done in no time at all. It was actually a pretty easy installation. The steering box and the power steering pump, customer also sent those out, and those are professionally rebuilt and fresh. Alternator that we sent, alternator and starter we sent to one of our local shops that specializes in rebuilding those, so those are all freshly rebuilt. Radiator, that was sent to a radiator shop, and that was gone over properly. Right now, here's the body. You know, the firewall's all blacked out and ready to go. Dash is all done. If you remember how bad that was. The air conditioning system for the car is also in Florida right now at Classic Auto Air, being rebuilt. So we should probably be seeing that in the next few weeks. But once the body gets mounted on the chassis, we'll be able to really start moving forward. All the body work on the body shell here, the doors, the deck lid, I mean, the fenders, all the body work, majority of the body work is all pretty much done. Everything's in high build sanding primer. The only panel I have yet to start working on is the hood, but really the hood is one of the last pieces of the puzzle to go onto the car. So right now we want to get the body back onto the frame, and then to the point of being able to basically drive this car around on its own power, just for the sake of ease. Pushing these old cars isn't always the most fun. So the air cleaner, that's an original air cleaner. Stripped it down like always and color matched it and painted it the appropriate color. Same with the engine. That got all cleaned up properly and was sprayed with the metallic bronze engine enamel that is commonly used on these Oldsmobile engines. So, trying to think what else. I mean, there's been a lot of things going on. It's just hard to remember everything. But our suspension and steering, that's all together. Again, once the body goes back onto the frame, we'll be rebuilding putting the steering column back together. All the steering column parts have been sandblasted and painted, and we'll be putting, a new turn signal switch in, just because once you have it apart, you might as well put a new one in. Make sure everything's going to work when you get it all back together. And then we'll have the steering column in it. We'll be able to steer it, and we'll get it to the point of turning a key and firing an engine. But for now, the next step is just getting the body back on the frame. All right, so as you can see, we got the body mounted back up on the frame. It's all bolted down, new body mount bushings and everything were installed. So that's ready to go. So let's take a look at what we've been doing since we got the body mounted. All right, let's start back here. Here we got the new tank all installed. Here's another look at our rear disc brake conversion that we installed. One thing we ran into was the parking brake cable we were provided with was originally the parking brake cable for a drum brake setup, which comes along up here as usual. And we had to put on these little, I'm trying to get in there so you can see it, these little rubber boots. These little rubber boots we put around the line for it to come around the axle. We thought we were going to have to get a different length cable made, but we ended up getting it figured out. Got them both installed, but then when it came to hooking this part up, the original, I don't know how good you can see this, the original front cable ended up being too short. So we did this double nut deal there, got a piece of thread rod and extended this. So it worked out that we didn't have to get another parking brake cable setup made. Let's take a look at some of the underside of the car here, all the detail work. Might be a little dusty here and there. This is a body shop. It's not a doctor's office, but it'll all get cleaned up real nice long before it ever leaves. And you can see the underside of the body is all coated real nice. Got our new brake lines stuff going back. The fuel lines going back to the tank for the fuel injection system going up into the top of the tank there. Moving forward, you need to see everything's detailed out really nice. All the brake lines and distribution block all looking really nice. And then we got our front disc brakes all installed. Another look at another view of the steering box that was sent out and redone. There's a quick look at the underside of the car. All right, since getting the body mounted on the frame, here's our steering column parts and partially put together. We're waiting for a new turn signal switch that is holding up putting this in, but we got that going on there. We put a quick coat of paint down on the floor. You can see back here we had some leftover white, so we just put a quick coat of paint down on the floor just for a little bit of extra corrosion protection. And then the black is the sound deadener and heat insulator. Here we got our air cleaner. We're going to put that aside for a while we're working on the engine bay, so we don't scratch it up or mess it up in the process, because putting this fuel injection system in, there's a lot of taking things apart, putting it back together things. Looking at the
bead blasted that, put a quick coat of clear coat on it to help preserve that. So that's all tuned up and partially wired up. We're starting to get the wiring and stuff run, trying to get some of this under dash stuff going, you know, in a good order, so that we're not trying to work around too many things. We're also waiting for the air conditioning stuff to come back from being rebuilt, and then we'll be putting the heater box and all that stuff in, and the air conditioning box. And up here we got the brake pedal mount that we did the same thing, bead blasted it and clear coat it and got it looking really fresh and new. So we got a lot going on in here. Moving onto the engine bay, we got a lot of, yeah, it looks like a mess right now, but this is part of, like, this is the headlight wiring and stuff. But with this fuel injection sniper kit, until we have the front end sheet metal all together, we got to figure out where we're going to be mounting these units, because the firewall is pretty much consumed. You know, we're going to have your brake booster and so on, your master cylinder here. There's two air canisters that go up in here, so that space is taken. Trying to think what else we got going on up here that you haven't seen yet. But yeah, then over here, obviously the AC box is going to go in this area, so it's going to take up all of this. But we do have some of the unit ready to go. We got our fuel lines here, but we're just kind of roughing everything in right now, see where everything goes, and just really getting the process started of making this car able to run on its own power, so we can move it around without without pushing it, because that's never fun. And then we got our, this is the vacuum door lock menagerie here. It's the door locks and the trunk release are all run on vacuum. So another thing we're doing is, well, I should start with, we did hook up everything to this. We hooked up the switches, we hooked up the actuators, we hooked it all up, and everything functions the way it should. But just for safety purposes, we're going to replace all the vacuum lines with new vacuum lines, so that we don't get it all back together and have some kind of like possible leak somewhere where a rubber hose is cracked or what have you. So that's another thing we're working on currently. But I was hoping to have the steering column back in, and this thing would be down on its wheels and more like a mobile roller, but it is back on its wheels. It is a full unit again. And making some really nice progress here.
All right, well, that's about it for this video. If you've been enjoying these videos and these series and you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. It'll keep you up to date on all the new videos coming up in the future, featuring this project and any other project that we're featuring here at DTR. If you like this video and you're enjoying what you're seeing, you can always hit that thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. Any questions or comments, you can always leave them in the comments section below, as well as in the description below. Find all the links to find everything that's happening or everything that is DTR. So, with that being said, thanks again to everybody for watching, and see you in the next video.